Hello interwebs, this is an update on the LaTeisha Green trial. For those of you who don't know who LaTeisha Green is, let me explain. LaTeisha Green was a trans woman living in Syracuse, New York, which is, in case you haven't figured it out from the location of my videos, which I explicitly mark, somewhere near where I live. She was only 22 years old when she was murdered by Mr. DeLee when standing outside of a party, or not standing, sitting in her car with a friend whose last name is Starr. That's all I have for her, and her brother Mark. LaTeisha Green was born a man, Moses Cannon, and at this party around 8:45, after this party at about 8:45, she was shot, and it is being tried as a hate crime. She was a woman of color. In past trials for trans people, period, there have been minor offenses as the rulings. People get away with slaps on the wrist and minimal, small murder charges. But it's a woman of color, so the charges are even less, which is complete discrimination because they're trying this as a hate crime against gay people. LaTeisha has been living for 4 years as a woman, not a man in a dress. At the party, she was not wearing what is typically known as homosexual flamboyant clothing or a dress. She was wearing a t-shirt and jeans with a bra. The hair was not done up as fabulously as people say it was on a normal day, which tends to happen in these cases for some reason. People just don't look as great as they do. The shooter, Robert DeLee, said that, I can't even quote this correctly because it's been changed so many times. Here, on July 14th during the trial. It started on the 13th after it had been pushed back a week. Ms. Cassie Williams testified that after speaking with Teish and Mark outside the party, she heard two men call Teish and Mark faggots, then saw DeLee approach the car with a rifle. And then in later trials, the original police confirmations kept getting changed for the witnesses. The girlfriend of Robert DeLee and I think it's his brother, it says, or no, his friend who was with him changed their alibis, and what they said in the police office when they even signed their names. So everything's completely been flipped around. Nothing's consistent from what it originally said. A lot of people have been covering this online. The Post Standard, News Channel 3, News Channel 9 have been covering it. News Channel 3 has been using correct gender pronouns, calling her LaTeisha, as opposed to ABC, Channel 9 here, versus NBC, which is usually the slow tabloid one. ABC has been calling LaTeisha a he and referring to her as Moses Teish Cannon. It is LaTeisha Green, and they have failed to do this in court continually, calling LaTeisha a she, and calling LaTeisha. They've been referring to her as Moses Cannon, which, to the point of the trial, was her legal name, but it's not the common name, which is what you want to try it by for it being a transgender hate crime, a transsexual hate crime. Also, the judge kept referring to LaTeisha as a man in a dress whenever the witness was questioned, instead of a transsexual, which is completely inaccurate. For those of you who would like to help with this, there's a Facebook group, it's Justice for Teish Green, that's Teish, green like the color, and they have been following it on Twitter for the transgender legal defense group. You'll find it eventually. Just type in Teish in transgender legal defense. The parents of this have been deeply affected. they were at the CMI Pride, and I can tell you, I met the father. He is a very peaceful, upbeat person, and the DeLees and their family members or friends or something on the second day of the trial decided to assault, I think is the way that the news reported it, the Green Cannon family. And I have a picture of him here. That is Mr. Green and Mrs. Green, or Mr. Cannon, Mrs. Cannon, depending on what the definition is of that. And for those of you who need a picture of LaTeisha herself, I have this button. And the final closing arguments are tomorrow, July 16th, at 9 a.m., and they should be announced once I get out of work. I will report what the verdict was. But for those of you who would like more info on the case or would like to get involved in it, please use the references I included in this, or the sidebar. My camera's flipped so I can see my face that I'm not going above the camera, so I have no idea which way the sidebar will be. But yeah, please get involved in this and show you care, that you can fight discrimination, and please help to pass the hate crimes, the DOSA Act, and the Genda Act. All of these things, we need these. I don't care if you're some conservative Christian from the South who always grew up knowing that God's way was this and this and blah, 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 blah. Killing people is wrong regardless. Atheists know this. And you say they have no morals. Shut your self-righteous mouths for 5 seconds and think about this. Thank you. Goodbye.